Hey fellow photographer, how's it going? I'm Michael Selbel. Today it's a very simple video just about shooting photos of my model outdoors while she is leaning, posing at a tree. Because one of my favorite things that I do when I'm outdoors is just finding a decent sized tree and let the model pose at the tree over there. One of the things that I really love about that is that I get a really nice contrast between the smooth skin of the model and the rather rough, scratchy bark of the tree. This also poses a little challenge. In this kind of photos, I have to be sure that the sharpness on my model is spot on. If she's a tiny bit blurry, then the rough bark of the tree will probably be really sharp, or it appears really sharp while the model appears not so sharp. Another contrast that I really like is the color contrast between, let's say, a nice white or champagne color dress of my model and the dark green grayish color of the tree. So one major advantage of shooting with big white bridal dresses is that it has got a huge entertainment value for your cat. So your cat is usually sticking around and watching the whole thing going on. Over here in my garden there is not so much space for shooting, but I've got a nice tree which got a decent size. It's probably around about 200 years old, and if I go close with my camera with the lens, and if the lens is not a telephoto lens, then the size of the tree, it appears to be quite big in contrast to, let's say, a human being. I'm always using a flash in my photography, also in this kind of scene, because I want my model to stand out from her surroundings. And with a flash I can really bring her out by shedding some extra light on her. We have got a simple one light setup in this case. We've got the model, and the model is posing next to the tree. Then in the back of the model there is the sun shining towards her, and from the front, from the camera side, there is a beauty dish. The beauty dish comes from an angle which is roughly 30 degrees at the side of the camera, and it's angled about 30 degrees downwards to the model. This kind of direction is important so that the shadows are falling downwards and the lighting is kind of natural. My light source today is the Indra 360 TTL Studio Light. It has got 360 watt-seconds of power. I am shooting it at 1/8 of its power, so I'm shooting with round about 40 watt-seconds, which is not very much. But with my camera settings, it is enough to kiss the model with a bit of light, to make her coming out a little bit. It's not so much power that it would take over the whole illumination of the model and would make her look flashy. It's just adding a touch of light. My camera settings are f2.8 for a relatively shallow depth of field, ISO 100 for the maximum quality, and since it is quite bright outdoors over here, I have to choose a fast shutter speed, so I have to go to 1/1000th of a second. At a 1/1000th of a second I have to activate high-speed sync on my flash trigger. I have to use my flash in high-speed sync mode, otherwise the camera wouldn't even allow me to dial in a shutter speed that is so short, because it wouldn't be able to sync. When I am shooting such a set with other photographers, then I sometimes hear that they've got an issue with the following. If the model is posing at the tree and if the flashlight is hitting the model, then the flashlight is automatically also hitting the tree, right? So the tree gets flash exposure, and they don't want that. I'm really fine with that. I like the look. However, if you're one of those photographers who want the tree to stay quite dark and only the model to be lit up, then it's super easy to darken down the tree a little bit later on in post-production. For example, simply in Adobe Lightroom. You don't have to be exact. The rough edges of the tree and the rough bark, they hide kind of edges which are not exact. So it's really fast and really straightforward. An alternative to using flash would be just to leverage the available light, but I don't see how this can work because there's too much contrast going on between the bright sky and the model. I mean, if you're exposing for the sky, then your model is getting pitch black. If you are exposing for the surroundings of the model, then the model is still much too dark. And if you're exposing for the model, then all the rest is totally overexposed and washed out. So I keep using the flash to get this contrast smaller and to keep the contrast range under control. So how about you go out and you find a nice tree in a park nearby or even in your own garden. You shoot your own hand or something next to the tree. You check at what time can you shoot so that the sun is in the back of your model, and you check your exposure settings. And then the next day you come back with a model and you have her in all kind of leaning poses next to the tree. And whatever poses you are shooting of your model next to the tree, I wish you a ton of fun with that. And like always, I wish you good life. Flash over here. One more time. Good. Somewhere over. No more. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Wonderful. Okay. Stay like that. So this is how that looks. Now switching off the flash. Okay, that's how it looks without the flash. So we better switch it on again.